All right, on today's episode, we're going to talk about my secret weapon, my favorite secret weapon to automate and scale podcast ads to 7 figures and beyond. Okay, so if that sounds interesting to you, then stick around. But for those of you new to the channel or this show, my name is Joey Valancourt, and over the past 15 years, I've helped businesses scale using partnership marketing strategies, including podcast ads as being one of the primaries. So I've tested a lot of shows and I've had a lot of budget to put into this and made a lot of dumb mistakes so that you don't have to make those same mistakes. But today I want to talk about the secret weapon that I use to scale. So don't forget to hit the subscribe button, the like button, and everything else is going to get you informed with new releases as they come. So in the time where I started to do podcast advertising way back in 2016, 2017, we were doing a lot of work in the beginning on a bootstrap budget. So we were using sheets, we were finding and tracking ads manually. We had to go check our links. We had to go make sure that they actually did the ad read correctly. They used the right code. We had to track people down. It wasn't really scalable. So if you're just getting started and you're doing those things, it's okay. But know that if you need to scale, you need to continue to look for automation and AI platforms to help you with this. And there's a great quote. So in the era of automation, ROI is no longer a mystery, but a well-lit path. And John Wanamaker's words hold true here. So half the money I spend on advertising is wasted. The trouble is, I don't know which half. Automation helps you know. And the platform I'm going to introduce you to today is one that I talk about all the time on the show. I've actually interviewed their CRO, John Goforth, and I'm going to have him back on the show a few times because there's just so much value and their software continues to grow as this whole platform and all these new content creation methods continue to trend upward. We've used this tool to hit and scale past 7 figures. And if you're looking to get to 7, 8, and 9 figures, this is the platform you're going to want to use for all your analytics and all your podcast sponsorship needs. Because I know other companies, bigger than ones that the clients that I'm serving today that are using this and are spending probably 10x what I'm spending. So there's a reason why they picked this software, and I want to take you through 7 ways that I've used it strategically to help me scale with the brands that I've worked with, and ways that you can apply to your business today if you want to invest in an enterprise level software, if you're at that level of scale. So the first thing is finding affinity shows. So within the platform, it's got many features that you can take advantage of. And like I said, the features continue to grow, but what I loved about it is finding other shows and podcasts is easy to do. You can go to Google and things like that, but you can't strategically narrow down the scope and find affinity shows, etc., really in a simple way. So in Magellan, you can actually adjust who you want to find shows that sponsor potentially. And you can do this based on looking for non-compete products. So what are products related to your product, but they're not necessarily the exact same? Or you can also look for harmonized customer audiences. So you've got a sleep product, looking for sleep, particular podcasts, etc. So again, you can do this through Google, but it's much more efficient through this software. And I would say you can instantly prospect hundreds of shows within 5 minutes of doing this. So that's number 1. The number 2 feature that I like is the automated ad checks. So I can go in, I can check links, I can check codes, and I can check that the deployed ad, the audio version, sounds good. And I can actually get my teams to do automated reports to get all these transcriptions, all these links and codes for all the shows we're sponsoring automatically delivered to our inbox or within the platform to check on a monthly basis to make sure that our partners are following direction. And if there is an issue, I can report it and have the proof right there. Number 3 is I can now watch the affinity brands that are advertising on new shows. So this is number 3, and I'll get into number 4 in a second. But basically what I'm doing now is what are shows for affinity products that are being sponsored by? So I'll give an example. If I have a sleep supplement and then there's another sleep product like a sleep mattress, well, if they start to sponsor another show that I never even had on my radar, I can create a report to say, let me know of all the shows that that particular brand or that product or that company is sponsoring, and I want to be aware of it so that I can be the first to go and actually target them in a new prospecting campaign. Number 4, watching existing shows bring on new advertisers. And if non-compete, find the other shows they're advertising on. So this is a little bit different from number 3 and watching what brands advertise on new shows. This is now watching shows and seeing who's advertising on their show. And what I would do from there is you're going to discover new affinity brands or new affinity categories to the brands that you're watching. And then in that case, I'd follow back the brand and see now what other shows are they potentially sponsoring that I haven't maybe targeted yet. So that's number 4.
Hey, real quick, I just finished something I thought you might find useful since thousands of other people have already downloaded the Partner Up Profits Toolbox. It's basically a collection of done-for-you templates, including promotion calendars, scorecard templates, objective planning, and basically everything you might need while working with affiliates or influencers or any marketing role, because it's the one-stop shop for all online professionals to download every money-making, time-saving resource they'd ever need for free. And I'm always adding to it, and it's my gift to you today as a thank you for listening to the podcast and this channel. Simply go to partnerupprofits.com and find the productivity toolbox and access all your templates, frameworks, and systems and get lifetime access for free.
Number 5, outreach. Outreach is the most painful thing to do as a brand. And if you've done it, you know it. And it doesn't get any easier when it comes to podcast advertising. You have to go find obscure emails that may or may not link back to the actual person you want to get a hold of.
No one respond.
You don't get emails answered. So podcast outreach is a challenge. And within Magellan AI, they have a feature that they've already vetted and scraped and got authorization to email the podcast show or the podcast representative on behalf of the sponsor. So what they do is they do a bit of a warm welcome to introduce you to the show. And then if the show wants to get in touch with you, they'll reach back out to you. So it's not a guarantee, but it's a nice feature to add to your outreach program. And what I typically combine that with is I'll do the team outreach. So I'll do a cold outreach campaign across multiple platforms like LinkedIn, DMing, whatever platform, email, etc. But I'll also throw a line out in Magellan AI. And I've seen some success come back from that. So it's a really nice feature that connects you with the right people to the right shows. Number 6, retention rate. This is one of the things that I have never been able to find on any kind of free platform. And the reason why Magellan AI is able to target this is because they hear the ad reads and then they can actually pinpoint how much the company is spending, not just spending, but how much are the retention rates for each show. So I'm able to know what are brands paying for all the different shows out there and how much are actual shows receiving in ad dollars. And this is really effective whenever you're understanding and wanting to really dissect what's the engagement rate of a show and our sponsors seeing success. You usually have to ask around the friends, like, hey, did you guys sponsor that show? How did it do? And sometimes you don't have access to people or people aren't willing to give you the good information on that. So I like the retention rate for that fact. What it is it's going to measure how often are people repeat purchasing ad buys on that show. So if anything is below 10%, maybe that means they've only sponsored for 1 month and then they left. If that happens, that's typically a telltale sign that the advertising isn't working. Now, it's not the case across the board for every show, but if there's an affinity product or an affinity audience category that is continuously advertising maybe 1 month or 2 months and then dropping that show or those types of shows, I would move on. I would look for a retention rate of like 30 to 50%. And at the high engagement rate, you're looking like at 70. That tells me there's repeat purchases happening. And that definition of the period of time that they measure it over, it's a bit dynamic, I think. I think it has changed, but ultimately it's a really good indicator. And one of the things that I include in the calculation when prospecting new shows, and not just what's their size of subscribers or downloads. I'm looking at a bunch of engagement factors to really tell me the full story. Number 7, which I love about Magellan, is spying on other companies or other best practices and products and things that I know are scaling. So here's the steps that I would do. 1, look for the best advertisers who's spending the most amount of money, regardless of product category or business category or whatever. I want to know who's spending the most amount of money. And from there, it's telling me that obviously the service is working. So from top of funnel down to bottom of funnel, here are a couple things you can do with Magellan is I'll go in and after I find out who the top advertiser is, I'll then look at their advertising transcript. I'll start to look at a few of them. I'll see where else are they advertising? Are they using the same script every time? And if they are, that's again, a really good sign that there's something working here. If I see it advertised on all shows, it must be really working. So in that case, now I'm looking for what's the formula? What's the framework of the ad read? Is there something to unpack both from the way it's read, the layout, the offer? Is it a gift with purchase? Is it a discount? Is there some sort of benefit that I could, again, use in my own marketing, in my ad reads? Whether it's a formula, whether it's a compelling offer or a discount that's working. Sometimes there's nothing to unpack from it because it's just so irrelevant to what your offer is. But a lot of times there's a lot you can unpack. And if it's not on the ad read, it could be on the landing page, the first page that they see as a customer coming in from that ad? What is the layout of the page? What are the unique aspects, the USPs, the outliers, the presentation, is a subscription? So I'm looking at that, and then I go to the checkout page and I continue to just reverse engineer the funnel all the way back up to top of funnel, which is the ad, and I unpack success. And I have done this many times with many different companies and different categories of products, and it always works. You always learn something. And again, this is something that is easy to do versus trying to search for ads and then send it to a transcription service, etc. And I can listen to the audio version of it, and I can see how many ads went out to different shows for that one ad. So all this is done through Magellan AI, and those are the 7 things. The other thing that I do, last thing on the spine on effective ads, is I'll use ChatGPT. So if I don't know the formula, or if my team isn't well versed in understanding formulas, frameworks, and structures for copywriting, I'll put it into ChatGPT and say, give me the reasons why these 3 scripts work, or give me the formula that you see as a framework to an effective ad copy strategy for podcast advertising. Those are 7 ways that you can strategically start to use Magellan AI to just completely scale the way you can automate your business using podcast ads, find new shows, get in touch with new shows, do ad checks, relieve your team from doing all this manual work, and really start to reach the next level in your advertising campaign. So I hope this is helpful. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below, and we'll see you on the next episode.